We pour so much energy into starting projects, right? The kickoff, the planning, the big launch, but what about finishing them? Today, we're going to dig into that critical but, often overlooked final phase of any project, the end. We're going to explore how to finish strong and, maybe more importantly, how to lock in your project's legacy.
Okay, so picture this. You've hit the final deadline. The thing is shipped. The big goal has been met. You take this huge sigh of relief. But then, this question pops into your head. Now what? It's a moment every single one of us in project management knows all too well.
And let's be real, at this point, the team is just spent. They're drained. And the pressure from upstairs, it's not to sit around and reflect. Nope, it's to get on to the next thing. There's always a new fire to put out, a new mountain to climb. And that temptation to just slam the book shut and jump to the next thing is, well, it's huge. There's actually a name for this feeling, the project hangover. And trust me, giving into it by skipping a proper closeout is one of the biggest, most costly mistakes any company can make. Because you're not just leaving a messy desk behind, you're leaving incredibly valuable, hard-won knowledge just sitting there on the table.
Here's the key thing you've got to get. All those lessons you learned during a project, the good, the bad, all of it, they're perishable. They have a shelf life. They fade away as people's memories get blurry and teams get scattered to new assignments. Capturing all that good stuff isn't automatic. It takes a real, deliberate effort to actually stop, think, and write it down.
So how do we fight off that project hangover? Well, it all comes down to mastering what I like to call the art of the finish. We have to start treating project closure not like some boring administrative task, but as a final, totally strategic phase of the project itself. So let's break down the steps you need to take. You can really boil the process down to 5 clear stages. First, you got to tie up every single loose end. No lingering tasks. Then, you do the formal handover to the client. And right after that, you get that super critical, official sign-off. The 4th step, the performance review, that's where the real magic, the learning, happens. And we're going to come back to that one. And finally, you put the whole thing to bed by locking down all the documentation.
And that last step, putting the project to bed, is all about creating a treasure chest for the future. I'm serious. Your digital archive becomes a goldmine for the next team. You need to save everything, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Every version of the project plan, every important email, every note about how you solved some tricky problem. This isn't digital hoarding, people. It's building your company's memory.
And hey, that archive, it's for more than just learning. Quick pro tip here, if a disagreement with a customer ever gets nasty and turns into a legal thing, these organized records become your official evidence. A clean archive isn't just good practice, it could be your best line of defense.
But listen, an archive is just a bunch of files unless you actually pull the insights out of it. And that brings us to the most important learning activity in this entire closeout process, the debrief. Some people call it a postmortem. This is where you actually turn your team's experience into real, usable wisdom. So, what is a debrief, really? Well, put simply, it's a structured conversation. It's a set time for the team to get together and look back at the entire project, from that very first kickoff meeting to the final delivery, and just talk honestly about what happened, why it happened, and what it all means for next time.
Now, to make this conversation really work, you need the right questions. You can't just wing it. And it all starts with this fundamental one. Did we actually do what we said we were going to do? You have to measure how you did against the original plan and really get into why things were different, if they were.
Next up, you've got to talk about the curveballs, because every project has them, right? What were the risks that came out of left field that you never planned for? And when they hit, how well did you handle them? This question is all about judging the team's agility and its problem-solving chops.
And all of that leads to the ultimate purpose of the debrief. And it's all wrapped up in this one question. This is the money question, right here. It's not about pointing fingers or placing blame. It's all about getting better. Every single thing that comes out of this question should be a direct input into how you kick off the very next project.
Okay, but let's be honest for a second. Not every project gets to ride off into the sunset. Sometimes the absolute best decision you can make is to kill a project early. Now, it's a really tough call to make, but it is a necessary part of smart, strategic project management.
So you've really got 2 main paths to the end. The happy path is natural termination. The project is done, it worked, everyone's high-fiving. But then there's premature termination. This is what happens when the world changes around your project and it just doesn't make sense anymore.
So why would you ever pull the plug?
Well, the reasons can come from anywhere. It might be a technical problem you just can't solve with the team you have. It could be purely economic, the return on investment just isn't there anymore. Or, bam, a competitor launches something that makes your entire project pointless overnight.
You see, it doesn't really matter how a project ends, whether it's a huge success or you have to shut it down early. Your final responsibility is exactly the same. You have to secure its legacy. And I promise you, that legacy is so much more than just the product or service you delivered.
I love this quote because it just nails the point. A final report isn't just a boring summary of what you did. It's a strategic document. It's designed to create real, lasting value for the entire organization by making all future projects just a little bit better. So at the end of the day, this is what your project leaves behind. It's that actionable knowledge that future teams can stand on the shoulders of. It's the improved templates and processes that are now just a bit more accurate. And most importantly, it's a whole organization that is smarter, stronger, and more experienced, all because of the work that you and your team just did.
So I'll leave you with this thought. As you start wrapping up whatever you're working on now, don't just think about the deliverable. Think about the learning. What knowledge are you going to intentionally capture and pass on? What is your next project's true, lasting legacy going to be?